Buenas and Hafiday, everyone. Thank you for being here. The Committee on Self-Determination and Historic Preservation will now convene this confirmation hearing. The time now is 5:01 p.m. The date is June 6, Monday. I'd like to thank my colleagues for being here, Majority Leader Chris Duenas and Senator Tony Ada. Situas Maasi. For the record and in accordance with the open government law, public notices were sent out via email to all senators, stakeholders, and the Guam Daily Post on Friday, May 27, 2022, and again on Friday, June 3, 2022. Notice of today's hearing was also made available on the Guam Legislature's website. Before we begin, we have some general rules of conduct to be followed. All must abide by the rules of conduct and quality assurance standards. Individuals testifying shall first be recognized by the chair before speaking and shall state your name for record-keeping purposes. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the subject and nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character or motive of any senator or individual testifying is not permitted. Individuals speaking shall only use respectful and professional language and conduct. The chairperson of the committee may order the removal from the hearing of the committee or subcommittee of any person who is not a member of the legislature in Guam and who fails to observe proper decorum pursuant to the 36 Guam legislature's rules. Any violations of these general rules of conduct will result in removal from the hearing. Again, Hafiday, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for this afternoon's hearing. Today's agenda items are the confirmation of Paulie Eric Forbes to serve as member history representative to the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board, Michael B. Makio to serve as member architect representative to the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board, and Vincent A. Leon Guerrero to serve as a member history alternate representative to the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board. Pursuant to Section 76507 of Chapter 76, Title 21 of the Guam Code Annotated, the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board, as established to preserve Guam's historical and cultural heritage in the form of protected sites, buildings, structures, and objects. Since the board's inception, the members collaboratively are required as part of the process of nominating historical and cultural resources for inclusion in the National Register of Historic Places to place sites and properties on the Guam Register of Historic Places and any other functions deemed necessary for historic preservation. The Guam Historic Preservation Review Board is comprised of 10 members and shall be knowledgeable in the respective disciplines of architecture, archaeology, history, community planning, and Chamorro culture. Again, the first item on our agenda is the nomination to reappoint Paulie Eric Forbes to serve as a member as the history representative for a 4-year term from March 21st, 2022 to March 20th, 2026. Paulie Eric Forbes' reappointment to the board stands as a true testament to his commitment to serve and to his understanding of the roles and duties expected and set forth by the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board's bylaws. With a background in history, Paulie Forbes is well known for his blogs about Guam and the Marianas history and Chamorro cultural heritage, where several residents can discuss openly on Chamorro identity and history. He is a contributor to numerous publications that combine heritage, ideas, traditions, and art with purposeful perspectives on Guam history. Paulie Eric Forbes will continue to fulfill his duties as a member to the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board, and we look forward to his contributions in providing effective and productive advice to the board. I'd like to now invite those who are here to testify to provide their testimony. Is there a sign-in sheet? I think we can begin with Mr. Kanata, though. Please state your name for the record.
Hafiday, Madam Chair and Senators. My name is Joe Kinata, the Chief Program Officer of the Guam Preservation Trust. and I'm here to testify for all three confirmation folks. And I would like to read out my testimony. On behalf of the Guam Preservation Trust Board of Directors and staff, I'm here to express our strong support for Michael B. Makio, Paulie Eric Forbes, and Vincent A. Leon Guerrero to serve as members of the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board. Michael, Paulie Eric, and Vince are no strangers to the preservation community. They have been providing their institutional knowledge in their respective disciplines for our community for many years and have held the trust and support of past and current administrations and have sat here before this body several times, which indicative of their passionate service to our island community, and with me testifying today, show my continued confidence in them as preservation policymakers. Indeed, these three members uphold a teamwork approach as they also represent the preservation discipline they have been appointed to and have a great working relationship with the other board members. Together, we all share this passion, zeal, and a commitment to ensure that our community's voice regarding historic preservation is united and clear in dealing with local, federal, regional, and national partners. These three members before this body have always worked to advocate for increased preservation awareness and advocacy. Confirming them to the Historic Review Board provides the stability and continuity needed for our community, as both GPT and the Historic Resource Division this year are in the process of charting their strategic plan and historic preservation plan, respectively. Their input and guidance will help design how we work these next 5 years in meeting the concerns of our community. Their institutional knowledge retains the board's capacity of harmonizing Guam's architecture and history perspectives together with preservation laws and regulations, and I am confident that they will continue working well with the Guam Historic Resource Division and our office to ensure protection of historic sites in our community that remain robust. As you are well aware, the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board members in turn become the board of directors of the Guam Preservation Trust, and a complete board allows for better management of our work to advance historic preservation in our community. It is in this regard that I once again extend Guam Preservation Trust's strongest support to Mr. Makio, Paulie Eric, and Mr. Leon Guerrero's confirmation to the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board, and respectfully request that you and your colleagues reconfirm them to continue the great work needed to accomplish the mandates of both the Guam Historic Review Board Division and the Guam Preservation Trust. Sidus Masi.
Sidus Masi, Mr. Kanata. Before we begin hearing from our nominees, appointees, I will read the other two profiles for nominees here today. The next nomination on the agenda is the reappointment of Michael Makio to serve as a member architect representative and to serve a 4-year term from March 21st, 2022 to March 20th, 2026. As an experienced architect, Michael's reappointment to serve on the board will provide professional dedication to the timely delivery of projects with respect to design and construction. His valuable expertise in architectural design provides complete and innovative ideas and solutions that contribute to the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board. We appreciate his commitment to continue to serve on the board, and we look forward to his contributions he may provide. The last appointment on the agenda is Vincent Leon Guerrero to serve as a member history alternate representative and to serve a 4-year term from March 21st to March 20th, 2026. Vincent is a History of Guam teacher with the Department of Education. His reappointment to serve on the board provides a unique and complex perspective on Guam's cultural heritage. His continued commitment to serve on the board will provide an even more expansion of the goals and missions of the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board with his diverse interest in the classroom and outside the classroom. We appreciate his willingness to serve and we look forward to his continued contributions. We'll now hear from Paulie Eric Forbes.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Paulie Eric Forbes speaking. I want to thank Governor Lulian Guerrero for having confidence to reappoint me to the review board. Beginning in the early 2000s, my first appointment under former Governor Felix Camacho, and then reappointed by former Governor Eddie Calvo, and now under Governor Lu. And I accept all these opportunities to serve on the review board, and I make myself available to this committee to answer any questions they might have.
Situs Masi Paulie. And now Mr. Michael Makio.
Okay. My name is Michael Blas Makio. Thank you very much, senators and chair, for entertaining the nomination to continue with the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board. My name is Michael Blas Makio, as I said. I am an architect, and I would also like to take this chance to thank and encourage both Paulie Eric's nomination and Vincent Guerrero's nomination to our board. These two are extraordinary gentlemen. I've worked with them now for many years. They are not afraid to do what's right. They are not afraid, and they never back away from asking hard questions and helping the preservation community to make good choices. Both of these gentlemen have dedicated their entire lives, their entire careers to building capacity, helping not just youth, but also young adults, helping them find their way in preservation, finding careers, finding their voice, and becoming a part of the professional capacity of cultural advocacy and heritage preservation. This is something that's extremely rare. They also have been really instrumental in bringing together the Manamku and the Manhobin. They're always looking for those opportunities to bring the groups together so that the youth and the younger adults get the confidence that they need to eventually take over their roles in preservation and become the leaders. And also it really places the Manamku in a very respected position of mentoring these younger people as well. So it's been an amazing opportunity for me to work with all the members of the board, but these two gentlemen in particular, because their commitment to history and accuracy and truth, really something that's rare, and for them to dedicate their entire lives to it is amazing. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Makio. Now open the floor to questions from my colleagues. We'll begin with Senator Tony Atta.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Paulie, Eric, and Mike Makio. Thank you guys for accepting the governor's nomination to be reappointed to the Guam Historic Preservation Trust Board. And, Joe, under your leadership, thank you for always being there with them and ensuring that we try to accurately move forward in how we renovate or rebuild history right here on our island. And Paulie, Eric, with your history, the knowledge of your history, and you were just telling us a little story up here, and your architectural expertise there, Mike. Thank you guys again. I have no questions. I just want to thank you for accepting the governor's nomination and to continue to move forward and do the work that needs to be done so that we can preserve our history and keep our future generations knowledgeable of how Guam was in the past, and moving forward so that they can teach their younger generations. But thank you for everything that you guys do, and you have my full support for your reconfirmation. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Situs Masi, Senator Atta. Majority Leader Dueñas.
Sidus Masi, Madam Chair, and to Paulie Eric, well as Mike Makio and Joe, thank you once again for lending your full support to these two fine gentlemen. I cannot think of, a couple of nominees that, for the continuity not only, but Paulie Eric the other day when we were able to be treated to your presentation during the conference last week over at the Guam Museum. It was just one more of your very enlightening intellectual speeches that many of us are treated to. And I thank you for your willingness to serve the people of Guam, not only as a man of the cloth, but also an individual who really treats us to that. I do have one question. It's the same question for both of you, and maybe even if Joe jumps in. At this time with the inventory of projects, what stands out to you as being one of the more critical in terms of, say, the next 6 months to a year in terms of what the Historic Preservation is currently reviewing? And that would be my only question. It's more for edification than anything else, but then maybe the listening public would want to know, but what stands out to you as being at the forefront? And I just wanted to ask that question. Thanks a lot, Joe, once again as well.
Okay, I could go first. They're all my babies. I treat all of them with love and respect. I would almost say there's maybe a 4 or 5-way tie. We are very much involved with the Tantano right now, and that is the master planning of the property that sits near Sumay. And that's an amazing opportunity to bring together conservation, preservation, traditional cultural properties, and working with youth and preservation techniques and strategies that we haven't always used. So we're relying a lot more on feedback and research that we're getting virtually and remotely, and feedback and technology about the methods to conserve the properties from all over the United States. People are giving us feedback and ideas. There are, snail experts coming from Puerto Rico, and there are, experts on limestone and experts on archaeology and anthropology, and they're coming to us from all different parts of the world. So this has become a very important process for us because it puts us on a stage, if you will, the island. It puts our community on a stage because we are combining all these different priorities for an island community. So it's a big deal. I'm extremely fond of some of the smaller restoration and adaptations that we're doing in the villages, because that's really going into the villages and changing how people interact with their buildings, their homes. So we have the 3 projects in the Hagatna Historic District, and we have 2 projects actively going in the village of Inarajan. And then of course we have smaller projects around the island as well. But with those projects, it's in the villages. It's where people live and where they have to interact with it. So there are projects that are important because they're aspirational, and there are other projects that are important because they impact daily lives. So I'm going to go with those 5.
As Mike said, all of our projects are important to us. We have talked about the Palaszu. And of course, there is an Hagatna revitalization plan, and I'd like to see us coordinate with them. But one thing that stands out is my dream scene of having some kind of Palaszu restored and to make it a tourist attraction as also an educational opportunity for our children. But again, the list goes on. There's a lot more. Yeah.
Joe, you want to just jump in there, or are you going to leave it to your board?
It is a very, really tough question to answer because I'm going to pick something that's much closer to my heart, and that's the FQ Sanchez School, of course. But really, when you look at the different, not only the different capacity that we serve in regards to preservation, you have these rehabilitation capital projects Then you have these language programs, and then you have the historic documentation, and then you have, tradition, the seafaring tradition, and then you have these sustainable projects that serve not only our heritage, but serve economic development. When you look at the Valley of the Lati. Then you look at something that is local, like Mr. Chairman said, something that is within the community. Then you look at, again, projects that we share with the region, as close as the Mariana Islands, and then into Micronesia. But like the chairman said again, Guam is on this stage because we also sit at the national level with the National Trust for Historic Preservation. And I'm really proud to say that I will be traveling this week to attend the first face-to-face meeting with the trustee board of the National Trust. They're excited to actually listen to how we, as islanders, how we look at climate change, how we look at social justice, how we look at affordable housing, and infuse all of that into historic preservation. And I think that that there's just so many great work that our partners, our board, and the region, and the nation is really doing for historic preservation. And so we treat each project and program as they are, our babies, like the chairman said. And you get to see the results. I mean, just look at this building is a result of how we look at historic preservation.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I knew I would extract some passion and I wanted to hear it. Thank you. And you certainly have my support, you gentlemen, and look forward to voting on your confirmation.
Sijos Masi, Senator Duenas, Senator Brown.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Certainly good afternoon to all of you. I appreciate your continued interest in wanting to serve with the Trust. I mean, it's always my private passion every time I have a chance to talk to Joe and the projects over the years. We can spend hours talking about these projects and what's been accomplished. There was a time previously also we partnered at Fort Soledad to do some refurbishment at the fort. So much of our identity is still something we're looking for, especially our generation, even the younger people coming up, that there's so much about Guam we still don't know. And I think every time the Trust does a project, and of course it's not just limited to the physical reconstruction of old buildings, but the language, the culture, all the other things that the Trust is involved in. As the years go on, I think we get a better idea of who and what we are, where we came from. It's not all good, but I think it's important that we learn about it, even if it's not the most pleasant part of our history. And the difference in growing up and spending time on Guam, where you go to other places and you see things that are hundreds, sometimes thousands of years old, and you don't see that identity. At least we didn't see it growing up on Guam in the same way because of just the destruction and over the years the war, and then just not the maintenance of these facilities, or because they ended up in disrepair, disuse, for whatever the case may be. It's always fascinating. You go down south and you find a bridge in the middle of nowhere. And that used to be, the trail where the roads used to go. And I think the work that you do is very, very important. It's very important. And I think we learn so much from what you do. And Joe, the conference that you all collectively put together a couple of weeks ago, I walked away from that, and it just, one reflection is just the positive energy of people. And we go to many conferences and events where people get together, but that in particular, the calmness, certain relaxation a little bit, and I don't mean in a negative way, a very positive way, and just people interacting and opening up lines of communication. They may not know each other, met people there I've never met before, yet we could bridge over and talk about these issues and the projects and the work that's being done, and I think that's wonderful. And as I've mentioned before also, I think the Trust has done significantly well. Compared to other operations of the government of Guam, we keep pouring more money in. I can't always say the outcome of that is more efficient delivery, but in terms of the Trust, I think you guys need to be left to do what you do very well. And I hope that before this term is completed in this legislature, the members of this body, of which you have assisted in rebuilding this structure that sat for 25 years in disarray, and restored it, enhanced it even, making it better. I was at DPW when the plans were first shown to me for the renovation and rebuilding of this building also, and also the new addition that was designed very well, that blends into the original structure that was built in 1947. You know, that we restore the funding to the Trust. As I said, you've done well. You don't need guidance. You guys collectively, with the expertise you bring to the table, have done very well. And your success list of all that you've accomplished collectively, all the previous board members, and Joe, you've been the continuous process in all the work that you do over the years, to do what you do. You could have taken an easier trail, but you didn't. But I know in the times I've spent with you, you feel very fulfilled. And we could all wish to aspire, whatever it is we choose in life, to be fulfilled and be passionate about the work that we do and just breathe it every day. And be, consider yourself very fortunate that you get to do what you do. So I wish you well. I will continue to advocate for you. Please consider me that one person here in the legislature, and even when I'm out. I'm so impressed every time I see a completed project. I'm just so impressed. All the time and effort that goes into it, and the care and love that goes into it, that will give us our identity. We're not somewhere else. We're not, a break off from Hawaii or some other island in the South Pacific. I mean, we're Guam, and we have our own unique story that we want to share with each other in the world. So I wish you all continued success. Thank you, Paulie Eric, for your continued work. You're such an articulate speaker, and even though I'm not a fluent Chamorro speaker, I certainly understand most of the language. Thank you to my grandfather. But I enjoy the lessons and the things you share, because we need it. We definitely need it in our community, especially for our young people. Some of them, while we have all the modern technology, it doesn't give the same heart and guidance that you do with your teachings. And you also share your passion, and you express that and share that with the community. And certainly, Mike, for your own professional talent, bringing that to the table as you do, and you smile because you do enjoy what you do and your contributions. And I think that's wonderful. Not every board has this dynamics and this energy, and I think that's really, really incredible. So I wish you all continued success and look forward to seeing all the work that you continue to do very well. Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Sidus Masi, Senator Brown, and to my colleagues for their questions and comments today. Thank you very much to our appointees who are here, and Mr. Kanata for being here to provide testimony. So the three appointments have been duly heard, and we will continue to accept testimony to the office of Senator Telena Cruz Nelson for the next several days. You can turn in your written testimony to Senator T.C. Nelson at guamlegislature.org, or deliver it to the office of Senator Telena Cruz Nelson at Suite 202A, 173 Aspinall Avenue, Hagåtña, Guam 96910. Today's recording of this hearing will also be on our YouTube channel. And we'd like to thank everyone again. We look forward to moving your appointments in the next session. The time now is 5:30 p.m. and today's date, June 6th. This confirmation hearing is adjourned. Sidus Masi, everyone.